Hare Krishna, welcome to the session. Uh, Only two people I can see. Let us start. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, we'll every time whenever we are reading Bhagavad Gita, first of all, we'll start with this invocation mantras. Om Agnana Timirandhasya. You can recite with me. Om
Om
Agnana
Ajnanatimrantasya
Timirandhasya Gnananjana
Gnananjana
Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai
Tasmai Sri
Gurave
Gurave
Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati
Ati Swapadam
Parantikam Vandeham
Deham
Shri
Sri
Guru
Guru
Pariyuta
Swapadam
Shri Guru
Sri Guru
Vaishnava
Vaishnava
Shri Rupam
Tam Sadhu
Sadhguru Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatam
Sadhu
Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna
Krishna
Padan Sahagana
Bhagavana
Shri
Sri
Vishakam He Krishna
Karuna Sindhu
Dinabandho Jagat
Jagapati
Gopesh
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
Radha
Kanta
Kanta
Namastuti
Tapta Kanchana
Gaurang Shri
Radhe
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusuti
Sabhanamasute
Devi Pranamami
Hari Priye Kalpataru
Vanchakalpataruvyasya Kripa
Sandeshche
Patitanam
Parinam
Pavanebhyo
Krishna
Vaishnavabhyo
Vibhyo Namo Namah
Now we'll recite here Prabhupada's pranam mantra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna
Krishna
Prestaya
Prasthaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Bhakti Vedanta
Vedanta Swami
Iti
Namini
Namini
Namaste
Saraswate
Saraswate
Deve
Gauravani
Bhavani
Pracharine
Pracharani
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya
Paschatya Deshatari
Then this one Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri Advaita Gadadha
Advaita Srivasa
Shadi Gauru Bhakta Vrinda
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama Hare
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 Hare. Thank you for joining. Okay, so there are only three people. We'll quickly start. I hope everyone has their books with them. So let us start reading. So the book will not be shared on the screen because it is the purpose that we start reading from book itself. So only the invocation mantra I will share on the screen. And let us start. So preface. Who would like to read first? Abhishek, Prabhu? Do you have book or you are at office, Prabhu? Hare Krishna, Abhishek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I don't have physical book right now.
Oh, because you are at office, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
I understand. Harshil Prabhu, you have book?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Unfortunately, I also don't have book. Apologize for that.
That's fine. Monica Mataji, do you have book in case? Okay, for today I have to share.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I got a soft copy on my phone.
Actually, our purpose is to read from book itself. That's why I am ready to share the screen. But that is the purpose that we should not forget to read our book. So, if possible, like next time onwards, we all can do that. Wherever we go, just carry one Bhagavad Gita with us. Okay. That's just an idea. Okay, so okay, let's start. I'm sharing the screen. Okay, setting the scene. Who would like to read first? Can you read Abhishek Prabhu or you'll be busy?
Yes, I can read Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
So setting the scene, um,
So
although
one paragraph each person will read. Okay?
although widely published and read by itself, Bhagavad Gita originally appears as an episode of Mahabharata, the epic Sanskrit history of ancient world. The Mahabharata tells of events leading up to the present age of Kali. It was at the beginning of the age, some 50 centuries ago, that Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to his friend and devotee Arjuna.
Hmm. Harshil Prabhu. You can read the second paragraph, their discourse.
Okay. Their discourse, one of the greatest philosophical and religious dialogues known to man, took place just before the onset of war. A great fratricidal, apologize if I'm mispronouncing,
That's it.
conflict between the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, and on the opposing side, their cousins, the Pandavas, or sons of Pandu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Mataji, Monica Mataji. Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra and Pandu were brothers born in the Kuru dynasty, descending from King Bharata, a former ruler of the earth, from whom the name Bharata derives. Because Dhritarashtra, the elder brother, was born blind, the throne that otherwise would have been his was passed down to the younger brother Pandu.
I hope you all are getting this is like about the Mahabharata. This is just basically the setting the scene means the history of the Pandavas. Yes, Rohin.
Um,
When
yeah.
Pandu died.
When Pandu died at an early age, his 5 children, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, came under the care of Dhritarashtra, who in effect became for the time being the king. Thus the sons of Dhritarashtra and those of Pandu grew up in the same royal household. Both were trained in the military arts by the expert Drona and counseled by the revered grandfather of the clan Bhishma.
I'll read this. Yet the sons of Dhritarashtra, especially the eldest Duryodhana, hated and envied the Pandavas, and the blind and weak minded Dhritarashtra wanted his own sons, not those of Pandus, to inherit the kingdom. Yes, anyone new joining the group? No. Okay, Abhishek Prabhu, you can read.
Thus, Duryodhana, with the Dhritarashtra's consent, plotted to kill the young sons of Pandu, and it was only by the careful protection of their uncle Vidura and their cousin Lord Krishna that the Pandavas escaped the many attempts against their lives.
Yes, Harshil Prabhu.
Now, Lord Krishna was not an ordinary man, but the supreme Godhead himself, who had descended to earth and was playing the role of a prince in a contemporary dynasty. In this role, he was also the nephew of Pandu's wife Kunti, or Pratha, the mother of the Pandavas. So, both as a relative and as the eternal upholder of religion, Krishna favored the righteous sons of Pandu and protected them.
Monica Mataji. I'm sorry.
Ultimately, however, the clever Duryodhana challenged the Pandavas to a gambling match. In the course of that fateful tournament, Duryodhan and his brothers took possession of Draupadi, the chaste and devoted wife of the Pandavas, and insultingly tried to strip her naked before the entire assembly of princes and kings. Krishna's divine intervention saved her. But the gambling, which was rigged, cheated the Pandavas of their kingdom and forced them into 13 years of exile.
Upon returning from exile, the Pandavas rightfully requested their kingdom from Duryodhana, who bluntly refused to yield it, duty bound as princes to serve in public administration. The five Pandavas reduced their request to mere 5 villages, but Duryodhana arrogantly replied that he wouldn't spare them enough land into which to drive a pin. Yes, Rohin, you can read 2 paragraphs.
Throughout all this, the Pandavas had been consistently tolerant and forbearing, but now war seemed inevitable. Nonetheless, as the prince of the world divided, some siding with the sons of Dhritarashtra, others with the Pandavas, Krishna himself took the role of messenger for sons of Pandu and went to court Dhritarashtra to plead for peace. When his pleas were refused, war was now certain.
Yeah, Abhishek Prabhu.
The Pandavas, men of highest moral stature, recognized Krishna to be the supreme personality of Godhead, whereas the impious sons of Dhritarashtra did not. Yet Krishna offered to enter the war according to the desire of um,
The
antagonists. As God, he would not personally fight, but whomever so desired might avail himself to of Krishna's army, and the other side could have Krishna himself as an advisor and helper. Duryodhana, the political genius, snatched at Krishna's armed forces, while the Pandavas were equally eager to have Krishna himself.
yes, sir.
In this way, Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, taking it upon himself to drive the fabled woman's chariot. This brings us to the point at which Bhagavad Gita begins, with the two armies arrayed, ready for combat, and Dhritarashtra anxiously inquiring of his secretary Sanjaya, what did they do?
The scene is set with only the need for a brief note regarding this translation and commentary. The general pattern translators have followed in rendering Bhagavad Gita into English has been to brush aside the person Krishna to make room for their own conceptions and philosophies. The history of Mahabharata is taken as quaint mythology, and Krishna becomes a poetic device for presenting the ideas for some anonymous genius, or at the best, he becomes a minor historical personage. Yes, Rohin, you can read 2 paragraphs.
But the person Krishna is both the goal and the substance of Bhagavad Gita, so far as the Gita speaks of itself. This translation, then, and the commentary that accompanies it, propose to direct the reader to Krishna rather than away from him. The Bhagavad Gita thus becomes wholly consistent and comprehensible. Since Krishna is the speaker of the Gita and its ultimate goal as well, the Bhagavad Gita as it is presents this great scripture in its true terms. The publishers.
Okay. So I have a presentation on the setting of the scene. How much time do we have? So I think in the beginning, for the introduction also, if it will be nice if you can actually understand this. So I think after this, that will be the dedication, right? So let's read dedication, then we'll see uh, some presentation on this setting the scene, okay, which I have to search out. I have forgotten. I thought maybe we'll just go around the reading Bhagavad Gita, but it will not suffice the purpose of understanding. Okay, so dedication to Srila Baldeva Vidyabhushana. who presented so nicely the Govinda Bhashya commentary on Vedanta philosophy. So, preface. Okay, we can read preface and then we'll go to the setting of the scene and then we'll conclude. Okay, preface is not so long. So, I think we can just complete it preface today and then setting the scene, I'll explain quickly to you. Yes, preface, Abhishek.
Originally, I wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is in the form in which it is presented now. When this book was first published, the original manuscript was unfortunately cut short to less than 400 pages, without illustration and without explanation for most of the original verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse, its English translation, word for word, Sanskrit English equivalents, translation, and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and makes the meaning self evident. I was not very happy, therefore, when I had to minimize my original manuscript. But later on, when the demand for Bhagavad Gita as it is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the book in its original form. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of this great book of knowledge with full uh, parampara explanation in order to establish the Krishna conscious movement more soundly and progressively.
Thank you, Prabhu. Harshit, Prabhu, you can read this.
Our Krishna consciousness movement is genuine, historically authorized, natural, and transcendental due to its being based on Bhagavad Gita as it is. It is gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world, especially amongst the younger generation. It is becoming more and more interesting to the older generation also. Older gentlemen are becoming interested so much so that the fathers and grandfathers of my disciples are encouraging us by becoming life members of our great society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In Los Angeles, many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feelings of gratitude for my leading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said that it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started the Krishna consciousness movement in America. But actually, the original father of this movement is Lord Krishna himself. Since it was started a very long time ago, but is coming down to human society by disciplic succession, if I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, his divine grace, Om Vishnupada Paramasama
Hamsa,
Paramhamsa Parivrajakakarya
Parivrajakaacharya.
Parivrajakaacharya Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Mataji is there. Yeah, Monica Mataji, you can read this.
Yes. If personally I have any credit in this matter, it is only that I have tried to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any adulteration. Before my presentation of Bhagavad Gita as it is, almost all the English editions of Bhagavad Gita were introduced to fulfill someone's personal ambition. But our attempt in presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is to present the mission of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Our business is to present the will of Krishna, not that of any mundane spectacular like the politician, philosopher, or scientist. For they have very little knowledge of Krishna, despite all their other knowledge. When Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yat yahi
Madhyaji.
namaskuru, etc., we, unlike the so called scholars, do not say that Krishna and his inner spirit are different. Krishna is absolute, and there is no difference between Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, etc. This absolute position of Krishna is difficult to understand for any person who is not a devotee of Krishna in the system of parampara, disciplic succession. Generally, the so called scholars, politicians, philosophers, and swamis, without perfect knowledge of Krishna, try to banish or kill Krishna when writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Such unauthorized, sorry, I missed out.
Sorry,
Where,
sorry.
where it gone? I think it came down.
Yeah, it came down. Actually, I was searching something and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's here. Such unauthorized commentary upon Bhagavad Gita is known as Mayavad Bhasya. And the Lord Chaitanya has warned us about this unauthorized man. Lord Chaitanya clearly says that anyone who tries to understand Bhagavad Gita from the Mayavadi point of view will commit a great blunder. The result of such a blunder will be that the misguided student of Bhagavad Gita will certainly be bewildered on the path of spiritual guidance and will not be able to go back to home, back to Godhead.
Thank you, Madhavi. Our only purpose is to present this Bhagavad Gita as it is in order to guide the conditioned student to the same purpose for which Krishna descends to this planet once in a day of Brahma or every 8.6 billion years. This purpose is stated in Bhagavad Gita and we have to accept it as it is. Otherwise, there is no point in trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita and its speaker, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna first spoke Bhagavad Gita to Sun God some hundreds of millions of years ago. We have to accept this fact and thus understand the historical significance of Bhagavad Gita without misinterpretation on the authority of Krishna. To interpret Bhagavad Gita without any to interpret Bhagavad Gita without any reference to the will of Krishna is the greatest offense. In order to save oneself from this offense, one has to understand the Lord as a supreme personality of Godhead, as he was directly understood by Arjuna. Lord Krishna's first disciple, Arjuna is okay. Such understanding of Bhagavad Gita is really profitable and authorized for the welfare of human society in fulfilling the mission of life. Yes, Rohit.
The Krishna consciousness movement is essential in human society, for it offers the highest perfection in life. How this is so is explained fully in the Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, mundane wranglers have taken advantage of Bhagavad Gita to push forward their demonic propensities and mislead people regarding right understanding of simple principles of life. Everyone should know how God or Krishna is great, and everyone should know the factual position of the living entities. Everyone should know that a living entity is eternally a servant, and that unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of three modes of material nature, and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. Even the so-called liberated Mayavadi speculator has to undergo this process. This knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living being has to hear it for its own interest.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Abhishek Prabhu, you can read this.
People in general, especially in this age of Kali, are enamored by external energy of Krishna, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts, every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of Krishna, and thus his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. By the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different forms, which will never make him happy. Instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. The Lord wants this and he demands it. One has to understand this central point of Bhagavad Gita. Our Krishna consciousness moment is teaching the whole world this central point, and because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad Gita as it is, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad Gita must take help from Krishna consciousness movement for practical understanding of Bhagavad Gita under the direct guidance of the Lord. We hope, therefore, that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 12th of May 1971, Sydney, Australia.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So next time onwards, we will read introduction. Please give me 2 minutes. I'll find out the setting the scene. I have a presentation, which is very short presentation, but it will bit easier for you to digest. Okay. So this is a very brief history of how this war came into picture and why this Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna by Krishna, Lord Krishna. So by his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki jai. So Mahabharata, which is an epic, was written by Vyasadeva with the help of Lord Ganesha, as you all know, 5,000 years ago. And in which Mahabharata, Yuddha Parva, there is Bhagavad Gita spoken by Lord Krishna. Okay, spoken by Lord Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and spoken to Arjuna, a devotee and the friend of Krishna. Okay, so okay, just before war, greatest philosophical and religious dialogue which was spoken just before the war. It is very difficult to understand that, contemplate that how a person can speak such a philosophy just before war. Okay, so that's Krishna. Mahabharata. So in Kuru dynasty, there was King Bharata, who was ruling the earth. And from Bharata, this Kuru dynasty was there. So in Kuru dynasty, there were Pandavas and Kauravas. So there was Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva was the father of the Dhritarashtra and Pandu, as you all know. So I'm not going in so much into the history. The Dhritarashtra was born blind. He had 100 sons, and eldest son was Duryodhana. Okay, so and Dronacharya was his teacher, and then there was Pandu, and Pandu has had 5 sons. He was a younger brother of Krishna. Somebody's messaging. Okay, sure, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So there are 5 brothers: Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva. These are the 5 children of Pandu. And so Duryodhana, he tried several attempts to kill these Pandavas, because originally Pandu was the king of the Hastinapur, but then somehow he died, and then Dhritarashtra was the temporary king, because Dhritarashtra couldn't his Pandu's son Yudhishthira was not that old, so Dhritarashtra was a kind of temporary king, but this Duryodhana, his son, wanted to be the next king. So actually, because Pandu was king, Pandavas will get the royal throne, obviously. So that's why this all, like, Duryodhana was after that thing, that when as soon as his father gets down of the throne, he should get it. So, and there is also a description of personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, who is the nephew of Pandu's wife, Kunti Devi, or Krutha, as mother of Pandavas. And he descended to the material world as a king. So he descended actually as a Gopa, but then he was also Mathura king also. Then later, when this war came into picture, he was ruling Dwarka kingdom. And Krishna always favored righteous sons of Pandu and protected them. History of Battle of Kurukshetra. So originally, there was a gambling match in which Duryodhana challenged Pandavas for the gambling match, and cheated, took all possessions, disrobed Draupadi. Krishna saved her, forced them 13 years of exile. Okay, after returning from exile, Pandavas requested a kingdom, bluntly refused. So this Duryodhana bluntly refused, and Krishna went as a mediator for the peace and asked for at least 5 villages, which was refused, which was again refused. War was inevitable. I'm just reading it out. I'll share this PPT to you. So this kings of world, so everyone gathered from all over the world, many kings. They favored, most of them favored, as you know, Kaurava party, and there are very few people in Pandavas. But because Lord Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, was favoring Pandavas, and they were righteous, so always there is a win for them. So Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya. So while the war was taking place in Kurukshetra, in Hastinapur, this Dhritarashtra, the father of Kauravas, he was sitting with Sanjay, and because he was blind, he couldn't attend, he couldn't take part in the war. So Sanjay is his minister, and he asked. He was very selfish kind of king, and he always favored his son. Blind, he was not physically blind. He was not only physically blind, but he was spiritually also very blind, and blindly supported his sons. So that's why he was very eagerly was hearing the commentary of Sanjaya, who was telling Bhagavad this whatever was happening in the Kurukshetra war to Dhritarashtra. So okay, so that was the scene. Okay, setting of the scene. Okay, so there was some like previously also many people wrote Bhagavad Gita commentaries, but there were few mistakes. As you can see, many thousands of hundreds and thousands of Bhagavad Gita are in the world available. So Prabhupada says, why this one only? Why Bhagavad Gita as it is only you should read? In general, translators of Bhagavad Gita have brushed aside the person Krishna to make room for their own concepts and philosophies. Most of the Bhagavad Gita, I don't want to mention here, but they take out the person Krishna from Bhagavad Gita. They say they something like divine power, something else like Brahma Jyoti or whatever they will say. They will not mention the name of Krishna at all in their commentaries of Bhagavad Gita. I have seen. Thus, history of Mahabharata is considered as mythology, and Sri Krishna becomes a poetic device for presenting ideas of some anonymous genius, or at the best, he becomes minor historical personage. So, if I am writing Bhagavad Gita, if I am not a devotee, I will just write my own mental speculation, whatever I understand. But to see Bhagavad Gita's message through Krishna's eyes, what Krishna's want to convey us. So that's why we should go and learn a Bhagavad Gita from the devotee of Krishna. So Prabhupada is such a devotee of Lord Krishna. And also this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya comes under the Madhava, Gaudiya Madhava Sampradaya, which is originally the lineage is from Brahma. So there are four basic sects which are authorized, which we'll learn later in the introduction part. So from these four authorized sources, if you read Bhagavad Gita, then it is authentic. Then this is trustworthy. So Bhagavad Gita's message, Lord Krishna is both goal and substance of Bhagavad Gita as per Bhagavad Gita itself. About this translation, in this translation and the commentary accompanies it. Purpose is to direct reader to Krishna rather than away from Krishna. So you can't take out Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. Okay, you can't take out Krishna from Bhagavad Gita. So basically, the message of Bhagavad Gita is to do devotional service only. Only one message in Bhagavad Gita: do devotional service. But people have derived several other meanings. So that's not at all Krishna's Bhagavad Gita. In the last shloka, Krishna says that Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam. What is that? Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja means what? You go and take shelter of Krishna. Simple as that. But people derive many ambiguous meanings out of it. Thus, Bhagavad Gita becomes wholly consistent and comprehensible. Since Krishna is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita and its ultimate goal, Bhagavad Gita as it is, presents this great scripture in its true terms. So Bhagavad Gita as it is, so compiled from the teachings of, so this slides were compiled by Amritananda Das Prabhu from Sita, and I have derived it from there. This is very beautiful presentation, and I'll send it in our group today. So I hope next week many other join. Thank you so much for your kind presence. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Vanshakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo. I'll send this one also to you. So whenever we are parting, we'll just recite this shloka. This is the Vaishnava Paranam mantra. Most of you might have heard it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.